Today the lecture is about causes and treatment of gingival recession, which is going to be taken by Shazib Mehman. First of all, I would like to share that aid members can only get certificates of attendance if if you are a member taking this lecture live on our YouTube or Facebook. You can attempt quiz further to qualify for certificate. And if you're not AID member and taking this lecture live on Facebook or YouTube, we welcome you as well because knowledge has no boundaries, no limitations. We should not stop spreading knowledge. Anyone wants to learn anything from AID is free to charge on our YouTube and Facebook page. So you all can ask any questions if you have at the end of the session. We will answer them live. Now I would like to hand over the mic to Dr. Janzeeb. Yes, sir, please.
Hello everyone, Assalamu alaikum. Can all of you hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Uh, my short introduction is that my name is Dr. Jazim Ayman, and I am working as lecturer in operative dentistry department at Lumps University, Jamshoro. I am also working as a FCPS R4 trainee in the operative dentistry department under the supervision of Professor Feroz Ali Kaloro. The topic that I would like to speak is based on an article from Dental Update 2019, and the topic is based on basically two things. Number one is the reasons of the gingival recession, and number two, the solution for that problem. Before starting the lecture, I would like to ask a very easy question to every one of you, that what is the most important thing in our life? Some of you may answer that learning is important. Some of you may answer that money is important, wealth is important, status is important. So I would like to mention here that the most important thing in the life is happiness. And happiness is basically based on two perspectives. Firstly, you yourself have to be happy, and secondly, you have to make others happy. हमें खुद भी खुश रहना है और औरों को भी खुश करना है. I would like to here mention that your words, your gestures, your actions can highly influence somebody's life. You can turn somebody's life, somebody's day into positivity, or either you can turn somebody's day or night into negativity. And here the person in the picture does not need any introduction. इसका नाम है सुशांत सिंह राजपूत. He was a very Indian actor, but unfortunately demised several reasons. One of the most reason was depression. तो लेक्चर स्टार्ट करने से पहले ये मैं मैसेज देना चाहूँगा कि हम में से हर एक स्टूडेंट, हर एक पीजी ट्रेनी हो, फाइनल ईयर का हो, थर्ड ईयर का हो, हाउस ऑफिसर हो या चाहे वो प्रोफेसर हो, कोई भी हो, एक फाइट अपने आप से लड़ रहा होता है. कहीं ना कहीं प्रॉब्लम्स हर किसी के अंदर होती हैं. तो ये मैसेज देना चाहूँगा कि एक दूसरे को आप हमेशा सपोर्ट करें, इनकरेज करें, एक दूसरे का हाथ पकड़े और उसको ऊपर ले जाए, ना कि उसको नीचे हम दबा दें जैसे कि आजकल की सोसाइटी में होता है. और इसी बात पे मैं ह्यूज राउंड ऑफ अप्लॉज भी देना चाहूँगा EID को कि वो इस टाइम पे काफी पॉजिटिव रोल प्ले कर रही है, लीडरशिप का रोल प्ले कर रही है। मेरा हमेशा यही कहना होता है कि टू बी अ लीडर you don't need to be a dean of an institute, you don't need to be vice chancellor, you don't need to be a wealthy person. Every one of you is a leader who works for the positivity of his or her fellow colleague. तो AID को भी बहुत ज़्यादा क्रेडिट जाता है कि इन्होंने अच्छा प्लेटफॉर्म दिया है इस लॉकडाउन वाले टाइम के स्टूडेंट्स फ्री में घर बैठ के लर्निंग कर रहे हैं। तो मूविंग ऑन टू द लेक्चर, तो हमारा जो टॉपिक है मैंने बताया कि दो चीज़ों पे कॉम्प्रोमाइज कर रहा है। नंबर वन, प्रॉब्लम्स ऑफ जिंजाइवल रिसेशन, एंड नंबर टू इज द सॉल्यूशन। अब ये जिंजाइवल रिसेशन होती क्या है? अब जिंजाइवल रिसेशन होती क्या है उससे पहले थोड़ा सा आपको मैं इंट्रो देना चाहूंगा जिंजाइवा के बारे में, जो कि बिल्कुल बेसिक बातें हैं, एबीसी है। तो थोड़ा ईबीसी हम देख लेते हैं। सबसे पहले जिंजाइवा हमारे ओरल कैविटी में 3 किस्म के होते हैं। नंबर 1 मार्जिनल जिंजाइवा, जो कि सीमेंटो इनेमल जंक्शन के ऊपर होता है। अब ये सीमेंटो इनेमल जंक्शन क्या है? जहाँ पे क्राउन और रूट मिलता है, इन शॉर्ट जहाँ पे इनेमल और सीमेंटा मिलता है, सीमेंटो इनेमल जंक्शन। ये जस्ट थोड़ी सी एबीसी बता रहा हूँ ताकि थोड़ा सा रिफ्रेश हो जाए, फिर हम टॉपिक पे आते हैं। तो मार्जिनल जिंजाइवा हमेशा सीमेंटो इनेमल जंक्शन के ऊपर होता है। उसके बाद मार्जिनल जिंजाइवा खत्म होता है, 1-2 मिलीमीटर उसकी विड्थ होती है। खत्म होता है तो अटैच जिंजाइवा शुरू होता है, और जहाँ पे अटैच जिंजाइवा खत्म होता है वहाँ पे एल्व्यूलर म्यूकोजा शुरू होता है। एल्व्यूलर म्यूकोजा और अटैच जिंजाइवा के जंक्शन को कहते हैं म्यूको जिंजाइवल जंक्शन, जहाँ पे अटैच जिंजाइवा खत्म होता है, एल्व्यूलर म्यूकोजा शुरू होता है। अटैच जिंजाइवा को अटैच इसलिए कहते हैं क्योंकि वो सराउंडिंग बोन और टूथ से अटैच होता है, और मार्जिनल जिंजाइवा को अनअटैच जिंजाइवा भी कहते हैं क्योंकि वो अटैच नहीं होता। अगर वो अटैच नहीं होता तो इसका मतलब ये कि थोड़ी सी स्पेस होती है, और स्पेस का नाम है सल्कस, जो कि बिल्कुल नेचुरल फिनोमेना है, और ऑन एवरेज वो 1-2 मिलीमीटर तक होती है। लेकिन अगर वो स्पेस बढ़ जाए, वो बढ़ जाए तो फिर उस सल्कस कन्वर्ट हो जाता है पॉकेट में, जिसको पैथोलॉजिकल पॉकेट कहते हैं। तो ये थोड़ा और,
Excuse me, sir.
यस यस यस,
Sir, sorry. Kindly use only English. Actually, it's live for all foreign students as well.
ओके 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 ओके।
Thank you so much.
So here I have already mentioned there are 2 types of gingiva, and the third type of the gingiva is interdental papilla. This is the part of the gingiva which lies between the 2 teeth. So total there are 3 types of gingiva: marginal gingiva, followed by attached gingiva, and then third one is interdental papilla which lies between the 2 teeth. And in the oral mucosa, there are 2 types of mucosa. Number 1 is keratinized, and number 2 is non-keratinized. Keratinized means that there is keratin is a protein which basically lie in the epithelium. So if the oral mucosa contains keratin in their epithelium, that means it is a keratinized. If it does not contain keratin protein, it means it is not keratinized. In the whole oral cavity, there are 2 types of keratinized tissues. Number 1 is gingiva, and number 2 is palate. This is very important thing to ponder upon, because as I will go towards the treatment, this point will help you guys to know the reasons and the logic. So there are 2 types of keratinized tissue. Number 1 palate, number 2 gingiva. From gingiva I mean both marginal and attached gingiva. So now what is the gingival recession? Gingival recession is nothing but a fall down of gingiva from its actual position. As I've already mentioned, the actual position of marginal gingiva is above cemento-enamel junction. But if it goes down below the cemento-enamel junction or further down to mucogingival junction, it means it is receding down. And this migration of marginal gingiva is known as gingival recession. I will try to use a very simple and layman language, because the purpose of lecture is to just gain concepts and learn. And we'll try to learn in very fun environment, easy environment. And if any one of you has a questions, no worry, you can ask. You can interrupt me in middle of the lecture and you can ask. Even I won't call it a lecture. I will just call it as a discussion, or a learning process. So what actually happened? Why is gingival recession a problem? If anyone has been suffering from gingival recession, is that okay? No, it's not okay. It's not okay, then why it is not okay? So, so the problem that will occur would be if the gingiva goes below the cemento-enamel junction, below the root surface, it means that the root surface will be exposed. Root surface, if the root surface will be exposed, then there will be hypersensitivity. Let me tell you that the root is covered by cementum, unlike the crown which is covered by enamel. Cementum is weaker structure as in comparison to enamel, and it is a small in millimeters. So the root are more hypersensitive. So as the gingiva goes down, root becomes exposed, sensitivity increases, and the patient feel the first symptoms, it is sensitivity, the first initial symptom due to gingival recession. And the secondly two problems are is the plaque accumulation. As the gingiva goes down, it becomes area for plaque accumulation and the lesion starts developing. Either it can be abrasion if it is due to toothbrush, or it can be a root lesions. And remember, the carrier process in root is more faster than the crown, than the enamel, because as I already mentioned, enamel is more protective, more hypermineralized. It is 96% minerals, unlike the cementum, which is not that much mineralized. So the lesions develop very quickly in the root surface. And last but not the least is the aesthetics. If the recession occurs in the anterior teeth, of course, patient won't like anyone to see that oral condition of his or her mouth, and obviously they want the treatment, and the aesthetic problem is very common. So I would try to give the lecture in English. Mostly my lectures are in Urdu or common language, because the basic purpose of the lectures are to deliver knowledge. But here the some of the students also belongs to foreign, so we had to look on that matter. And I would try to go through English language and try to make it as simplified as I could. So what are the possible causes? As I already told you, this whole article is based upon two divided into two portions. Number one, what are the reasons? Number two, solutions. Let's come to the reasons of the gingival recession. Why the gingival is falling down or is migrating down below the cement enamel action. Number one is periodontal phenotype. Periodontal phenotype. Periodontal means, in the word periodontal, peri means surrounding the tooth. There comes two, three things. Number one, gingiva. Number two, bone. Number three, PDL. So here the from phenotype means what is the type, how much thickness is there. So here comes gingival thickness as well as bone thickness. And guess what? Both things are correlated to each other. If the bony plate is thick, the gingiva will be also thick. If unfortunately the bony plate buccolingually thickness is not thick, and it will also affect the thickness of gingiva, as the bone, because the bone supports the gingiva. If the support is less, automatically the gingiva will be affected. So now the question is how we will measure the gingival phenotype. And this point is very important from clinical point of view. Those who are working are doing are directly into the base related to the clinical dentistry, so it is very important point. Uh, Take a periodontal probe. What is periodontal probe? There are many periodontal probes. One of the most common is CPITN probe. It is also known as WHO probe. It has a ball-ended tip about 0.5 millimeter. So put that tip into the sulcus and then observe. You have to observe that is the probe tip visible. If the probe tip is visible, it means that gingiva is not that thick. That's why it has it we can see through it. So it means gingival thickness is less than 1 millimeter. But let's get into another scenario. You put the ball ended probe into the sulcus and then you try to observe outside the gingiva, you cannot see any probe. This means gingiva is thick enough to hide the ball tip. So the thickness is more than 1 millimeter. So this how we can know either it is thin biotype or thick biotype. Phenotype is also known as biotype. And this is very important factor, thin biotype and thick biotype. And how we can measure clinically, I have just told you, you can, and the knowledge is worth it when you apply in your clinics. If you, first step of the, first step is the learning and second step is to implement. So what I tell you today, if you only implement one of the thing in your clinical practice, it's a victory. It's a victory of me, it's a victory of you all, it's a victory of AID. So uh, catch the points, clinical points, and then try to implement and discuss with your fellow and spread the knowledge. So this is how we measured the biotype, thick or thin biotype. Okay, now your question would be that yes, we have measured, but इससे क्या होगा? What will happen now? तो इससे ये होगा कि that thin biotype are more prone to gingival recession because they are thin, they are weak, thin, weak, not thick. For suppose there are two kind of people do you met. One is a heavy fat guy. You hit him a punch, nothing will happen to that guy. And then come a weak, lean, skinny guy, and you hit that skinny guy the punch. No doubt in that he will fall down and he will just even can have a fracture. So same is with the gingiva. If it is thin biotype, so it has more prone to gingival recession, unlike thick biotype. So this is the first reason of the gingival recession. So the second reason and very common reason is that plaque accumulation, calculus accumulation. Plaque accumulation can also lead to the pocket. If gingival biotype is thick, they lead to the pocket formation. Yani ke they food particle enter into the sulcus and they cause the inflammation, infection. Then sulcus begin to enhance and convert into the pathological pocket, as I already mentioned you before. But a big but is here. If the plaque accumulation occurs in thin biotype gingiva, the pocket formation does not take place, gingival recession takes place instead. So here is a big difference. So plaque accumulation and calculus accumulation in thin biotype gingiva leads to the recession. And there is very interesting point ahead is that we can understand the logic of plaque and calculus. Plaque calculus का तो समझ आता है कि भाई ये problem करेंगे. But here it is also written कि treatment, periodontal therapy can also lead to the recession. Is because the when we do the deep scaling or surgical therapy, some of the gingival tissues get lost because it is infected, already inflamed, so it automatically recedes down as a part of healing process. So height changes. And the third reason is trauma. And like for suppose improper toothbrushing method, the way to do proper toothbrushing is in the vertical and circular direction. And I'm sure every one of you know as a dentist. And but to be honest, before entering into the BDS, I myself don't know how to brush properly. I used to brush in horizontal method and aggressively. So this is a very common problem, even in educated families, even in non-educated families. So it's a very prevalent problem that they brush uh, horizontally and very aggressively because they just not does not give the proper 2 or 3 minutes time. Just 30 seconds aggressively and just go off, wash all the mouth away. So this causes trauma to the gingiva, and obviously gingiva gets hurt and then recede. And number two is the choice of toothbrush also matters. Soft bristles, hard bristles, and habitual behavior. Some of the guys in stress, they have a habit of nail biting, pencil biting, or whatever they get in hands, they start biting it. So this can also cause the pressure on the gingiva, and if the pressure is exerted, then there is a tendency of trauma. And then if trauma, then obviously it's a chain. Pressure on gingiva, resulting in trauma to gingiva, resulting in recession of gingiva. So it's a chain. Lip and tongue piercing. I know it's awkward because in Pakistan, lip and tongue piercing is obviously uncommon. But in here we do ear piercing or nose piercing. But in abroad, everything is common. You can expect anything from people. They do different things. They lip piercing, tongue piercing are common, and then this can result in pressure into the gingiva. And partial denture can also lead to the gingival recession. How? The acrylic plate in partial denture, there are basically two components: the tooth and the acrylic plate. The acrylic plate gets the support from the gingiva from in the abutment teeth. So so obviously, as I already told you before, they exert the pressure on gingiva, which is result in the trauma to gingiva, which result in the recession of gingiva. So it's a chain: pressure resulting in trauma, resulting in recession and migration of gingiva. So anything that exerts pressure to the marginal gingiva will affect it. And chemical trauma, for suppose we are doing a root canal, and I highly recommended all of you who do root canal to please use rubber dam. In abroad, it is mandatory. No one can dare to do root canal without rubber dam in their private practice. But unfortunately, in Pakistan, it is not that common because everyone is focus of most of the clinician. I would use the love most, not everyone. Most of the clinician is the quantity of the patients rather than the quality of patients. I would prefer doing one patient a day, two patient a day, and doing it with proper protocol, and that is what I will advise to all of you. So if we don't use the rubber dam, for suppose we are doing irrigation of the canal, and we usually do it with sodium hypochlorite, and the sodium hypochlorite will obviously can come out of the canal and then hit the marginal gingiva and cause again the trauma and chemical trauma and recession. If rubber dam would have been there, it had protected all the gums and the surrounding teeth. Same way, aspirin and cocaine can also cause. And the thirdly and most important, if you smoke, don't do it. Here is the big reason again. What smoking does is that they reduce the blood flow of the gingiva. If the blood flow reduces, it means that the immune cells come to the point, come to the tissues with the pathway of the vessels. But if the blood flow decreases, it automatically means now the less number of neutrophil will come, less number of macrophages will come. So basically, immune system will be decreased, and there is more chances of recession. So this is consequences of smoking tobacco. Now the tooth position and mal position. So tooth mal position can affect in three ways. Number one, if any one of you has malocclusion, it is common observation that it's difficult to maintain the oral hygiene as the teeth are very much malaligned. Despite of using a separate orthodontic brushing kit, still some of the plaque remain intact on the tooth surfaces. So the plaque, obviously, as I told you before, leads to gingival recession. This is the first way how it can affect. Now come to the second way. Any of you know what is overbite? Let me tell you what is overbite. Overbite is your upper anterior teeth are overlapping your lower anterior teeth. It's absolutely normal. This is known as overbite, and it is about 2 millimeter. Your lower teeth are covered by the upper anterior teeth till 2 millimeter height. But if they are covered greatly, more immensely, like more than 2 millimeter, 3 or 4 millimeter, so then we call it deep bite. Yeah, deep overbite. So what happens in deep overbite is that the upper incisal edge of upper anteriors will hit buccal gingiva of lower anterior, and incisal edge of lower anterior can hit palatal gingiva of upper anterior. You can just pause for a second and try to your own self. Just see if you would do like this now, and your upper teeth will hit the buccal mucosa of lower, and your lower teeth will hit the palatal mucosa of upper. and as they will hit, they will exert the pressure, and then they will cause the trauma, and subsequently this will lead to the recession. This is the second way how the malocclusion can affect. Now let's come to the third way. Third way is the orthodontic treatment. Orthodontic treatment always occurred by making some bone changes. As I already mentioned you before, bone is directly correlated to gingiva. So if there are bone changes, there are also gingival changes. And most commonly affected teeth are mandibular incisors after post-orthodontic as a post-orthodontic recession. So here a question comes in your mind that recession is also occurring due to malposition, recession is also occurring due to the orthodontic treatment. So what should we do? मतलब मैं कभी कहते ना कहाँ पे जाएं भाई? So where should we go? So you can guys can ask in frustration, where should we go? So the answer is that no, obviously you guys should. If someone has malalignment, you guys any that one have orthodontic treatment. Uh, have orthodontic treatment because oral hygiene will be maintained and then other issues will be solved. And if the gingival recession not always sometimes happen as a consequences, then it will heal itself because initial bone changes occur, then they goes uh, back to their place. It's a just bony changes is just a temporary part of a orthodontic process, regeneration part. So it's a collaboration between osteoblast and osteoclast. So bone, if loss occurs, then also gain occurs. So it improves with the time. As I also already told you, plaque and calculus cause the recession, and on the other hand, periodontal therapy also causes the recession. So this does not mean that we should not have periodontal therapy because recession as a consequence of periodontal therapy is a part of healing process. And other factors are again if we are doing scaling and it has been overheated, always remember if you do the scaling of the patient full mouth, please give patient 2 days, 2 visits. Don't do it in one visit because the scalar tip get heated. And if it touches the gingiva, it can again cause. If you're doing, if obviously it will touch and it can cause the recession. And incorrect lossing technique can also damage the gingiva. So we are done with our first question, which was the reason. क्या क्या वजहें हैं, क्या क्या रीजंस हैं जिसकी वजह से नेवल रिसेशन होता है. तो जस्ट अ ब्रीफ ओवरव्यू, थोड़ा सा एक रिफ्रेश कर दें कौन से पॉइंट्स हमने नोट किए हैं. और दोज हु हैव जॉइंड द लेक्चर लेटर ऑन कैन आल्सो जस्ट नो द फर्स्ट पॉइंट वाज थिकनेस ऑफ द gingiva. Thin gingiva leads to the recession more quickly because it is more weak, leaner, कमजोर है. Or second problem was the plaque and calculus accumulation, obviously most common problem. Third problem was the trauma, and in trauma there was huge list of different problems which involved aggressively toothbrushing, nail biting, pen biting, or poorly fitted partial denture. And in chemical trauma, high sodium hypochlorite if you are not using rubber dam, smoking tobacco because it reduces the immune system of gingiva. So an orthodontic problem, if there is a malalignment, so there will be difficulty to maintain oral hygiene. So these are the problems and the common reasons for gingival recession. If anyone has questions, they can also ask. If anyone is shy or hesitate to verbally ask, they can type in the chat. So no worries. Every question, every query is much more appreciated. If I would know the answer, I will answer, and if I will not know the answer, I will surrender and I will research myself. Inshallah, next time I research myself, inshallah, I will text the answer to the EID, to the organizers of the EID. So it's a basic learning. I am here to learn. You all are here to learn. So diagnosis कैसे करना है? So if the patient comes to the OPD and complains about the gingival recession problem, so how will you diagnose? It's again a second clinical tip of the day. First tip already gave, second clinical tip of the day. So the second clinical tip is that you have to again take a periodontal probe. Either it can be CPITN probe, or I would rather suggest Williams probe. Williams probe is very special for me because its marking is very good. Its marking is like that: 1 millimeter, 2 millimeter, 3 millimeter, and then 5 millimeter, 7 millimeter, 8 millimeter, 9 millimeter, 10 millimeter. So only 2 millimeters are missing in the middle. Otherwise, all the millimeters rankings are there. So you can easily have a measurement. And in CP8 probe, the problem is that there is 0.5 millimeter ball-ended tip, and then there are black color codings ranging from 3.5 to 5.5, and second black coding from 8.5 to 11.5. And rest of the working end has no measurements. So it is difficult to calculate. So I would rather recommend you Williams probe. It should be in your clinical armamentarium 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10 millimeter. So how you have to measure? As I already told you that actual position of marginal gingiva was cementoenamel junction, but in recession it is lying below the cementoenamel junction. So you have to measure from cementoenamel junction to the new level of marginal gingiva, not original, obviously new level of marginal gingiva from the cementoenamel junction, which was obviously the actual position. And if it is 2 millimeter, then write on the copy 2 millimeter. If it is 1 millimeter, write 1 millimeter. If it is 3 millimeter, write 3 millimeter. And you have to measure from three sides: three labially, three lingually, middle, mesiobuccal, mesio or distobuccal, and then same goes for the lingular palatal surfaces. I hope you got to know how to examine the recession. Here I would like to mention a famous classification by Miller, in which he used the two criteria right for the classification of recession. The first criteria was how much marginal gingiva has receded, how much marginal gingiva has migrated down, has fallen down, and it used and then Miller used the mucogingival junction as a reference point. Mucogingival junction, as I already mentioned, the point where attached gingiva ends and alveolar mucosa starts, it is the point, it is known as mucogingival junction. And other criteria Miller used was interdental soft tissue or bone. On basis of these two criteria, he classified the gingival recession into the four. Let's come to the class one. So in class one, there is a recession. There is a recession, but thank you, thanks to God, it is not up to mycogingival junction. So it means a slight recession. And obviously, there is no loss of interdental tissue or bone. So this is class one. Class two. In class two, there is recession extending till mucogingival junction. So a step ahead. But yes, no bone loss, no soft tissue interdental loss. Okay. One criteria is still okay. Class three. Same. Marginal gingiva goes till the mucogingival junction, but there is also accompanied by साथ में इंटरडेंटल बोन लॉस की भी कंपनी है, ऑल्सो अकम्पेन्ड बाय इंटरडेंटल बोन या सॉफ्ट टिश्यू लॉस. इंटरडेंटल सॉफ्ट टिश्यू से पहले ही बता दिया है कि जिंजावा इंटरडेंटल पेपिला भी होता है, उसको इंटरडेंटल पेपिला कहते हैं. क्लास 4 obviously worst case scenario. Worst case scenario of both the criteria. Criteria number 1, yes, it is extending beyond mucogingival junction. Criteria number 2, interdental bone or soft tissue, yes, there is severe loss of interdental bone or soft tissue. Sorry for bit cough. Don't worry. I am all well, not suffering from corona. Lol. It's a weather problem. And please pray for everyone as that weather conditions are very bad around interior still. So hope the situation gets better. So here are some pictures. Uh, we can see in figure number A, there is a slight recession, and but not till mucogingival junction. In figure B, we can see that the recession is very much high, and it's near to the mucogingival junction. And in figure C, same problem. And figure D, you can see the recession as well, plus loss of interdental bone and soft tissue in the lower central incisors, figure D. So it is Miller class 4. Now let's come to the treatment methods. हमेशा 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 हमें डायरेक्ट बड़े मेथड से बड़े ट्रीटमेंट मेथड से नहीं आना. स्टार्ट हमेशा कंजर्वेशन से करना है, लोअर से ऊपर तक जाना है. So this is the rule of treatment. For suppose in operative dentistry, patient come with a discoloration. So what some of our some few, because now knowledge has been very much well, few of our clinicians do is that patient come with discoloration, they say यार बस crown लगा दो 6 यूनिट आगे गया. तो पेशेंट से हाँ मसला हल हो जाएगा. विल माय प्रॉब्लम बी सॉल्व्ड? डेंटिस्ट ऑफ कोर्स 6 crowns, 6 bridge. I will give you A1, A2 shade and will look beautiful, and then patient get convinced. And my question is, was the treatment option right? No one can condemn the treatment option. It was right. The patient purpose of treatment is to satisfy the patient. Patient got satisfied. Patient even gave a Bombay bakery cake to that dentist. Okay, he gave me 6 unit bridge, and I'm so happy, and I can do whatever. I can smile easily. But you all know the dentist just made the fool out of him and made the money. So what he actually had to do was start from the minimal invasive dentistry, conservative methods. First conservative method, he could go for bleaching, microabrasion, or if or he, further if the method does not solve from microabrasion or bleaching, he could have go for veneers. And if even veneers did not solve the problem, then he should go for the crown, which was the most invasive method. This should have been last option. तो हमेशा कंजर्वेटिव ऑप्शन पे आते हैं. So, so in this scenario of the recession, the first conservative option is the management of etiological factors. भाई हुआ क्यों है रिसेशन? अगर हमने ट्रीट कर दिया तो वापस से वो प्रॉब्लम्स होंगे, तो रिसेशन वापस से हो जाएगा. So what the reasons? For suppose the patient said कि I have a habit of doing aggressive toothbrushing with a hard bristle toothbrush, and he is proudly saying that. So what dentist will say, भाई सबसे पहले first my brother, first of all, stop doing that. Correct your brushing habits. He should tell the patient that how to do proper method. Or if the patient say I have a very bad oral hygiene, then he should give him oral hygiene instructions. So first is to correct. If the patient has orthodontic problem, then you don't start doing periodontal surgeries. Just first ask the patient to have orthodontic treatment, and then come back to you as a periodontist. And number two treatment option, and I love it, is very interesting. And I doubt few of you would know this because it is less common in Pakistan. It is we know about the veneers, and when I use the word veneers, the thing come in your mind is the crown veneers, enamel veneers, which can be when you just you cut the crown, facially 0.3 millimeter, and then you take the impression, give to the laboratory, and the porcine veneers come. You all have that idea. Or that you do direct composite veneers. But here I would like to mention is gingival veneers. And gingival veneers are, you took the impression, you sent to the laboratory, and what laboratory do? They make a small plate prosthesis to stimulate the gingiva, to replicate the gingiva, and then you have to retain that into the oral cavity of the patient. So they used to do with the acrylic plates long before, but there was the problem of retention and staining and fracture because a small portion and then plaque accumulation. But now the most commonly material is used as silicone, and it is has a very good success. सिलिकॉन से आप बना सकते हो और वो बिल्कुल जिंजावा की तरह हो जाएगा और आप लगा सकते हो, इवन पता भी नहीं चलेगा कि पेशेंट को कि भाई ये असली जिंजावा लगाया है या फिर प्रोस्थेसिस लगाया है. ये ऐसे ही है जैसे इट्स लाइक दैट व्हेन यू पुट द आर्टिफिशियल टीथ, so now you can put the artificial gingiva. So obviously it won't be as good as a natural thing, but it's artificial replacement of gingiva in simple words. You can also use it as a provisional or educating the patient. For suppose you tell your patient that, hey, listen, you have a very huge recession and I have to do surgery, a periodontal therapy and put the graft and the condition will be very good. The patient would be like, hey, what? You want to do my surgery? Oh, please, please, I don't want to do it. And what is the guarantee that the situation will be, outcome will be good? He started condemning you. No, how can I give my consent? Always remember, it's again, I'm trying to mention some things that are lacking in our country. It is a consent. Always starting your treatment in your dental OPDs or private practice. Always, even in my clinic, I have introduced consent form where as, oh, you are making a sign, that means something bad will happen. So here is the assumption here that if they are signing on something, something bad is going to happen. I would like, no, no, not like that. Even for a simple filling, we want your consent. We don't do the work like that. So you have to convince the patient. And if they are not signing, don't do the patient. Give it to someone else. Don't run behind the money. So I won't do your treatment. I love to do, but if you are not signing, I won't do. Go to nearby clinic. They don't. They will won't take your sign and they will do it. So that's their matter, their concerns. So here I will also mention a business tip, entrepreneur tip, is that never satisfy a customer. Always satisfy yourself, your concerns. Inshallah, your clinic or whatever you are doing will rapidly start doing emerging up. So here conversation was going, as I mentioned, sorry, it got out of the topic. So the dentist told the patient that I will do your better therapy and this patient was no, like, what is the guarantee? So dentist say, oh, wait, okay, don't worry. Let me tell you what would be the outcome. Patient say, okay, then that would be the great. And then dentist make art veneers for him and then place in his mouth and give him a mirror and say, now see. The patient look at the mirror and say, wow, amazing. Oh, now it looks fantastic. So then he asks you that this would happen after the therapy. You would say like, yeah, this would happen. The patient say, yeah, now I'm convinced. So you can continue with your penal stuff. So it is also for the educational purpose and the provisional restoration. Now the surgical management of gingival recession. First of all, I would like to mention total level 4 therapies. First is the coronally advanced flap. So what happens in coronally advanced flap? I give you a situation. A patient came to OPD with a recession in upper central incisor, upper both central incisors, right and left, at the two teeth. So, and you see, you examine, and the section is around 1 to 2 millimeter, and you see that there is good. You have to also check the thickness, amount of fat next tissue, amount of gingiva lying below the recession. मतलब रिसेक्शन तो हो गई है लेकिन जो जिंजावा नीचे है वो उसकी थिकनेस सही है या नहीं, तो ये भी चेक करना जरूरी होता है. तो वो देखा कि आपने वो काफी अमाउंट है उसकी, तो इट हैज एडिक्वेट जिंजावा ना. तो व्हाट यू डिड वाज, कोई ज्यादा सर्जरी नहीं करनी, आपने क्या किया, यू रेज द फ्लैप. तो फ्लैप रेज करना आता होगा तो आपने नॉर्मली जैसे फ्लैप रेज करते हैं आपने एक्सट्रैक्शन के वक्त भी करते हैं, इम्पेक्शन के वक्त भी करते हैं. तो यू रेज द फ्लैप, mucoperiosteal, full mucoperiosteal flap. Okay, and then you have to do nothing. You have to reposition back the flap. But wait here.
obviously, would you reposition the flap? Then the question comes in of mind, and why the hell we are raising the flap and repositioning the flap? What is the advantage? So the point is when to reposition the flap, reposition in bit upward position, like stretch it and reposition and suture back in bit till cement to enamel junction. तो थोड़ा फ्लेक्सिबल होता है, स्ट्रेचेबल होता है. तो आपको समझो ना किसी मिसाल जैसे होता है ना कि जो चादर होती है तो चादर को खींच के आपने ऊपर तक लेके आ गए. तो इसी तरह यही है, जिंजावा को खींच के ऊपर तक लेके आना है और फिर फ्यूचर बैक करना है. तो इसको कहते हैं कोरोनली एडवांस फ्लैप, फ्लैप विच हैज एडवांस कोरोनली, जो ऊपर चला गया. So this is a very good way of doing treatment. It's very easy. So मतलब comparatively easy. Or you should know, you should learn it and do not perform it directly, but it's comparatively easy than upcoming procedures. And its big advantage is that it's very aesthetic because the same gingiva comes up, so no other gingiva. Now, treatment number 2 is laterally positioned flap. Let me give you a situation. Um, Patient come to the OPD with the recession of lower canine, lower right canine. Okay, lower right canine. And you decide, you were thinking to do coronally advanced flap. You thought, yeah, I listened that treatment in Dr. Jazib's lecture. You were interested to do that treatment, but you saw that there is very lack of gingiva, less quantity of gingiva or width of gingiva or whatever you want to say, thickness of gingiva at the recession defect. So even there is recession, but there is also quantity is less. So how can you, even if there is less amount, how can you raise it up? It's already less, and you started getting confused. So to avoid that confusion, here is the tip. Here is the treatment option number 2 for you guys. Don't worry. Take a deep breath, chill yourself, and chill the patient as well. Take the Raise the flap from the premolar. Check if there is adequate amount of gingiva at premolar side, but the same nearby teeth. First premolar would be nearest teeth, okay, to the canine. So yes, there is a good quantity of gingiva. Okay, thumbs up. Now what you have to do is that you have to raise the flap from the premolar part, okay, and reposition back. But wait again. Not reposition on premolar. फायदा क्या होगा वरना नॉट प्रीमोजिशन ऑन अपर साइड, ऊपर खींच के फायदा नहीं होगा, प्रीमोलर पे तो रिसेशन नहीं है. यू हैव टू रिपोजिशन ऑन केनाइन साइड, मतलब उसको खींच के टेढ़ा करके लगाना है, लाइक ऑब्लिकली उसको केनाइन तक पहुंचाना है, स्ट्रेच करना है, केनाइन को कवर कर दिया और फ्यूचर कर दिया. नाउ द प्रॉब्लम और द आप whenever I'm saying something, please try to imagine. As the great scientist Albert Einstein said, the imagination is the biggest weapon. तो कुछ भी अगर सीखना हो, नॉलेज गेन करनी हो, हमेशा कोशिश करें, इमेजिन करें, चीज़ों को कॉन्सेप्ट पे लेके आएं. और क्योंकि ये हम जो पढ़ रहे हैं लेक्चर एग्जाम्स के लिए नहीं है, जब समझने और इम्प्लीमेंट करने के लिए. ठीक है. तो the question that would arise in your mind is that, like, yeah, we raise the flap from premolar and we stretch it obliquely and repositioned it on canine side. Canine side has been restored, but what about the premolar side? वहाँ तो गैप रह गया वहाँ पे तो स्पेस रह गई, क्योंकि वो जो था निंजा वो तो आपने लेटरली खींच लिया ऊपर की तरफ, नहीं तो वो तो रह गई जगह. तो यस, यू आर राइट, the space has been left at the donor side. You are right, absolutely right. If you are imagining like this, you are imagining perfectly, you are right. But don't worry, it will heal by secondary intention. There are two types of healing we have studied in oral pathology once long time ago, second year, third year BDS. Some do in second year, some do in third year. There are two types of healing: primary healing, secondary healing. Primary healing is that when the tissues approximate to each other. Secondary healing, when they do not approximate to each other, there is a gap. So the healing goes by the secondary healing. So in this is a risk, this is a disadvantage of laterally positioned flap, that the healing goes by secondary intention. Now the last two methods, and then we are off.
epithelialized pre-gingival graft. Now, for suppose there is a patient come to you OPD with recession on the lower dental incisors, and the first option you came into mind, you would be like that. Yeah, I listened to the Dr. Jazib's lecture. He said that go for the coronally advanced flap. It's amazing, fantastic. You have to just, and then you see, oh no, there is no gingiva below. Oh shit, I can't do that treatment. Then you said, yeah, Dr. Jazib had said that if this is the problem, don't be confused. Use the nearby teeth and go for laterally positioned flap, and then you quickly go for the nearby teeth and see, oh, you stop again. Oh no, even there is a lack of gingiva at nearby teeth. Now what to do? Now there is no chance of raising the flap because there's already inadequate gingiva. So now you have to go for the grafting. Grafting यानी एक और टिश्यू कहीं से निकाल के you have to took the tissue from some another place and put into the in the recession defect. So now here the question arises, what should be the donor site? कहाँ से लेना है gingiva? तो the answer is very simple. और शुरू में मैंने बिल्कुल जब EDC बता रहा था तो मैंने एक बात बताई थी. I told you one thing in the start of the lecture which was that पूरे ओरल कैविटी में सिर्फ दो ऐसे टिश्यूज हैं जिसके अंदर केराटिन होता है, केराटिनाइज्ड टिश्यू होता है. देयर आर टू केराटिनाइज्ड टिश्यू इन ओरल कैविटी. वन इज gingiva, second is I hope you all remember, it's a palate. So others are non-keratinized. So obviously you have no option to take that tissue from the palate. So that's why you take from the palate. You take behind the molars and premolar region in order to avoid damage to the anterior palatine vessels. तो आपको प्रीमोलर मोलर साइड से लेना है. तो आपने क्या किया, what you did is that कि आपने थोड़ा सा पीस कट कर दिया जितनी आपको रिक्वायर्ड है. You cut a piece of the gingiva from that palate according to your requirement and then you suture it back to the recession defect. दो दांत जितना चाहिए दो दांत जितना काटो, तीन दांत जितना एक दांत जितना, तो जितना चाहिए उतना आप काट के लगा दो. मिसाल जैसे आपके सामने if there is a cake nearby you, so what you do normally is that you have to cut the piece from the middle. So you put the knife in your hand and then you give 4 incisions, four like a square, 1 2 3 4, and then square piece of cake come out and you give to your fellow colleague or anyone who demands for the cake. So this is how you do. You cut the piece of gingiva and then put on the reception side. So there are two sides: donor side, receipt side. Donor is palate, receipt is where are you putting it. So now here are some problems. Problem number 1: in donor side there is an empty space and the healing will be by secondary intention. I already mentioned primary intention में approximate होते हैं, इसमें approximate होने का चांस नहीं है. So space खाली है, secondary intention से होगी. कॉम्प्लिकेशन होने के चांस ज्यादा है, मोर चांसेस ऑफ कॉम्प्लिकेशन, मोर चांसेस ऑफ ब्लीडिंग, क्योंकि पूरी आपने काट दिया, पूरा आपने ना एपिथेलियम समेत पूरा काट दिया आपने, तो ब्लीडिंग के चांस बहुत ज्यादा है, कॉम्प्लिकेशन होने के चांस ज्यादा. ये सारे नुकसान है, दीज आर डिसएडवांटेज. different color than the epithelium of gingiva. So here you have placed the epithelium of palate on the recession defect, matlab together with the gingiva. So there will be a difference in color. So that won't be aesthetic. That is why if the patient comes to you OPD with recession of upper central incisors, never go for pre-gingival graft because epithelium of palate is different color than the epithelium of gingiva lying above. In lower you can do it because that is less visible. In upper, no, big no. Now another option and this last treatment option we would like to discuss is connective tissue graft. And connective tissue graft में basically क्या होता है कि step number you have to take the graft the same way from the palate, but wait, Not you don't have to cut the piece of cake like piece of the gingiva. What you have to do is that you have to give one incision, second incision, three incision to just epithelium, to the extent of epithelium, just a slight incision. And you don't have to give the fourth incision square, because if you will give the fourth incision, whole epithelium will come out. Try to understand this method. You have to give three-sided incision only till the extent of epithelium, bus. That's all. Then you have to raise the epithelium. मिसाल आपने कोई डब्बा है, उसका आपने एक साइड, जैसे गिफ्ट होता है ना, गिफ्ट डब्बे में पैक होता है, एक साइड खोला, दूसरा साइड खोला, तीसरा साइड खोला, चौथा साइड नहीं खोलना, तीन साइड खोल के आपने उसको रेस कर देना और अंदर से गिफ्ट निकाल लेना है, फिर वापस से आपको उसको बंद कर देना है ना, जब भी ऐसा करना होता है। तो इसी तरह यही है। तो सॉरी, उर्दू में थोड़ा ये मिसाल समझाने के लिए, तो एक साइड से थोड़ा जी है। तो अब आपके सामने है कनेक्टिव टिश्यू बचा। अब आपको कनेक्टिव टिश्यू को ऐसे ही काटना है जैसे आपने पहले काटा था, केक के पीस की तरह उसको काट के निकाल देना है और एपिथेलियम को वापस लगा देना है उस साइड पे। एपिथेलियम नहीं निकला साथ में। जैसे मैंने कहा, गिफ्ट का एक साइड खोला, दूसरा साइड खोला, तीसरा साइड खोला, गिफ्ट के लिड को ओपन किया, गिफ्ट निकाल दिया, लिड को वापस बंद कर दिया आपने, तो लिड नहीं निकाला आपने। So it's example like when you are cutting the cake. So if your friend asks you, okay, hey bro, the serious. So what you do is that you take the cream off and you only take the underlying part of the cake and give to the fellow and put the cream back. So cream is like epithelium and underlying part of the piece of cake is like connective tissue. तो इसमें उसमें फ्री जिंजाइवल ग्राफ्ट में आपने क्रीम के साथ केक निकाल के दे दिया, इसमें आपने क्रीम छोड़ देना है, सिर्फ अंदर का केक निकालना है। तो एपिथेलियम छोड़ देना है, आपको सिर्फ अंदर का कनेक्टिव टिश्यू निकालना है। तो पहला फायदा एडवांटेज is approximation, no gap, no hole, nothing, no space. Epithelium has covered and the connective tissue healing will become easily, no much bleeding, no complication. And second advantage is that you have just taken the connective tissue graft. Now what you do, the patient has the recession of upper central incisor. Now you can't do it alone. What you do, you have to do it with coronally advanced flap. Now you raise the flap, and you raise the flap and put the connective tissue inside the flap and then resuture the flap to the upward position. It's coronally advanced flap. But it is how it is different from it is combination of coronally advanced flap and connective tissue graft. कनेक्टिव टिश्यू ग्राफ्ट को आपने उस फ्लैप के अंदर डाल के फ्लैप को रेस कर देना है। अब इससे क्या होगा कि जो एपिथेलियम है वो तो जिंजाइवा वाला ही नजर आएगा, पैलेट का नजर नहीं आएगा, क्योंकि पैलेट में ही पड़ा हुआ है, वो आपने नहीं निकाला। तो कोई भी एस्थेटिक प्रॉब्लम नहीं होगा, कलर का वही जिंजाइवा वाला ही एपिथेलियम नजर आ जाएगा। तो ये आपको तब करना है जब एडिक्वेट जिंजाइवा नहीं हो रिसेशन डिफेक्ट पे। इफ देयर इज ऑलरेडी एडिक्वेट जिंजाइवा एट रिसेशन डिफेक्ट, then you don't have to take the graft, connective tissue graft. You can do directly perform coronally advanced flap. You are doing connective tissue graft because you are unable to do coronally advanced flap alone as there is lack of quantity of gingiva. So to enhance the quantity आपको connective tissue लेना है, to enhance the thickness आपको connective tissue लेना है, वो अपने flap के अंदर डाल के आपको coronally advanced flap करना है। So this is the concept of connective tissue graft, and to be honest, if we want to conclude, we can conclude that connective tissue grafting along with coronally advanced flap is best method for long-term stability, for root coverage, for aesthetic. It is ideal method. Yeah, it's a bit invasive comparatively to coronally. If the first choice should always be coronally advanced flap because less invasive, if lack of adequate tissue at the recession defect, then you have to go for connective tissue graft with coronally advanced flap. और फ्री जिंजाइवल ग्राफ्ट जितना हो सके अवॉइड करें। तो ये कुछ दूसरे मेथड भी हैं, इनके डेप्थ में नहीं जाएंगे। इसमें ये कहा गया है कि आप एक होता है ऑटोग्राफ, एक होता है एलोग्राफ, एक होता है जीनोग्राफ। ऑटोग्राफ इज द ग्राफ टेकन from own human body. Allograft is a graph taken from another human body. Xenograft is a graph taken from another species. So connective tissue graft, free gingival graft were the examples of autograft. So we can also do xenograph. Here is example is that there is a पोर्किन यानी पिग से कुछ प्रोडक्ट डिराइव्ड होते हैं, कमर्शियली मिले जाते हैं, तो उनको आप कोर्नली एडवांस लैब के अंदर डाल दो। रादर देन कनेक्टिव टिश्यू ग्राफ, यू कैन आल्सो यूज xenograph and you can also use एलोग्राफ। तो ये कमर्शियल प्रोडक्ट्स होते हैं, ये भी आप यूज कर सकते हो। तो उसमें आपको डोनर साइट की जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी पेशेंट में। तो लेकिन ये इतने अच्छे ऑप्शन नहीं है। डोनर साइट अगर ऑटोग्राफ इज बेस्ट, नो डाउट इन दैट। पैलेट से जो निकल रहा है वो बेस्ट होता है। जीटीआर भी आप लगा सकते हो। जीटीआर कोई खास चीज नहीं है, ये बेसिकली एक मेम्ब्रेन है। इट इज अ मेम्ब्रेन, कनेक्टिव गाइडेड टिश्यू रीजनरेशन। ये मेम्ब्रेन है विच गाइडेड टिश्यू, जो टिश्यू को गाइड करता है, समझाता है भाई, बताता है क्या किस तरह गाइड करता है, क्यों करता है, फॉर एडिक्वेट डिजनरेशन। मिसाल आपने, इफ यू हैव रेज्ड द फ्लैप, यू आर पुटिंग द रीपोजिशन फ्लैप बैक, बट यू हैव टू प्लेस द मेम्ब्रेन। तो मेम्ब्रेन का क्या काम है, वो जिंजाइवल सेल्स और पीडियल सेल्स या बोन सेल्स को अलग कर देगा। अब मिसाल, देयर आर बंडल ऑफ बुक्स in my table, third year BDS books, final year BDS books, second year BDS books, and all are mixed up. So I want to separate them. So what I will use, I will use a shelf, a barrier. I will use a barrier. I will use two barriers to differentiate second year from third year from final year, and then it would be easier for me. Final year here, third year books here, second year books here. So this membrane is nothing more than a barrier. It separates gingival cells from bony cells ताकि मिक्स ना हो, सब पॉपुलेशन मिक्स ना हो, वो जल्दी, और इससे हीलिंग इजी अच्छी हीलिंग हो जाती है। बेसिकली ये बोन ग्राफ्टिंग प्रोसीजर में भी हम यूज करते हैं। खास तौर पे जब इम्प्लांट कर रहे हो आप, तो बोन नहीं है, तो आप बोन ग्राफ्ट लगाते हो। ग्राफ्ट के बाद हमेशा मेम्ब्रेन लगानी चाहिए ताकि उस ग्राफ्ट के सेल्स कहीं मिक्स ना हो जाए, उसको प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए। Thank you for being such an amazing audience. And at the end, I would like to say that learning is important. Dear is learning, but dearer is to be happy. कभी भी mentally stress नहीं रहना, और happiness is always a priority। चाहे एग्जाम के 2 दिन पहले भी हो, खुश रहना है। और जो चीज आपको कभी भी चाहिए हो ना, वो चीज बांटना शुरू कर दें। The thing you want in your life, start spreading it. For example, you want knowledge, spread it. For suppose you want smiles in your life, spread it. For suppose you want happiness in your life, spread it. So this is the message I would like to put forward to all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, Dr. Janzit. Thank you for your time and spreading knowledge to all of us.